Hey everyone, it's Val the Voice Johnson. I am the producer and co-host of the Pull Up Podcast Show. I'm so glad you guys are joining us on this wonderful motivational Monday. And of course, Coach Tony, yeah, he's coming. He does his thing. He's coaching. That's what he normally does on a Monday after the Super Bowl. Good gracious. So many thoughts, but we're not here to talk about that. We're here to welcome a wonderful, wonderful guest, uh, former NBA veteran and of course, best-selling author. We're excited to bring her on soon, but of course, usually Tony is cueing me to drop something. So, because I know what to do, I'm going to drop it. Here we go.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. Bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. I said bounce the voice and Coach Tony, you know. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast.
I love our theme. It's always good to have a theme, and that's us. And of course, it's a Pull Up Podcast Show. Let us know that you're here in the chat and give us a shout out. And of course, Wise Choice Media, good to see you. And of course, let's do this. Please like and subscribe. And of course, if you love what you hear and see, share the love of the Pull Up Podcast Show with myself and Coach Tony. But it's all about Coach Tony. Oh my goodness. Excited. Was fun. As I was saying a little bit earlier to our guests before the show, I love doing research that's fun. And when I say fun research, it's called talking with someone that is a speaker, a former WNBA who played overseas for over a decade. And of course, someone who has been extremely talented. And I see the coach is coming in. Coach Tony, how you doing? He's looking to get himself arranged here. We see you, and welcome, Coach. How are you? He's looking a little mean there. We'll go ahead and circle back to when he can actually hear me. I made sure that I had a little chit chat with him to say, hey, let's get you some headphones and a microphone. I have a speaker situation, so that's how we work. So of course, we are welcoming Hall of Famer, Ohio a Hall of Famer, and also a best-selling author. And we're excited to have her of the Confidence Playbook. It is Sylvia Crawley Spann. Welcome. How are you, Sylvia?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Of course, there we go. Oh my gosh. I'm excited. I'm excited to have you on. And of course, Coach is excited to have you here as well. Oh my goodness. Well, of course, as we usually do in our first quarter, and of course, let me make sure that I do this first. It's the first quarter. Here we go. You like that buzzer? That was all Coach Tony's idea, big time.
I'm ready. When I hear that buzzer go off, I'm ready to go.
You ready to go? Well, we'd love to know about your humble beginnings from Steubenville, Ohio. Oh my gosh, down the street from Chicago, where myself and Coach Tony are. But my goodness, how was it growing up in Steubenville?
Yeah, first of all, I like to make sure people get the pronunciation right. You said it right, like Reuben Steubenville.
Steubenville.
We will fight you if you say Stupitsville, right?
You will never hear that come out of my mouth.
Those are fighting words. No, but I am born and raised out of Steubenville, Ohio. We like to refer to it as Steubenville Made, hashtag Steubenville Made. And I was born on the north end side of Steubenville on a street called Sherman Avenue. Shout out to the Bricks. It's one of the only, maybe a few, but I think now it's the only brick road in our city. And so,
Man, can you hear me?
we can hear
We can hear
you.
you.
Hi, Coach Tony.
I got my technical difficulties on tonight.
Okay, we hear you. You interrupted her story. She was letting us know about Ohio. Come on, here we go.
So this was a street where there were
Hold on 1 second.
Go
there
ahead.
were a lot of families, a lot of kids. Kids from other streets came to my street to play. And it was like a true village, you know. Everybody could borrow a cup of sugar or some milk from each other like that. I wasn't allowed, once I went outside in the summertime, I wasn't allowed back in until it was time to go to bed or time to eat dinner, you know. You couldn't run in and out.
Did you have to be home before the street lights came on? That was our rule in our house.
Yeah, with the street light blink thing. But you couldn't run in and out of the house. Like if you came in, you had to stay in. So I would knock on people's door and say, "Hey, can I use your bathroom? Because I can't go in my house." You know. And my mom cooked dinner every day, so everybody could come by and get a plate. You know, our doors were never locked. You just come on in, and, you know, get what you wanted to eat. And so every parent on my block had permission to discipline me. So if I was acting out, doing something I wasn't supposed to do around the neighborhood, they could spank me, call my mom, let my mom know she was going to spank me again. So discipline for me was double. And so consequences were always on the forefront of my mind. Like if my friend said, "Oh, let's go to the Ohio River and jump off a boat," or something crazy, I would be like, if my mom found out, she would kill me. If any parents see me doing this, they're going to kill me, you know? And I would just rationalize, like, is the fun going to outweigh the punishment? And if it did, I might still do it, but but I was always very, very conscious of like the consequences in my life. And so, and I needed that, you know. I had teachers at school who were allowed to discipline me. My mom was like, if she's acting out in class, give her a SWAT. I guarantee you it'll stop her. You know, so I got many SWATs at school. So there were always eyes on me. My coaches were also teachers, so they were in the hallways. So if I'm running down the hallway, goofing off or whatever, they were there to snatch me up. So I had parental eyes on me at all times. And I was the type of kid who needed that. You know what I mean? I was mischievous kid. I like to explain it as I was a creative leader who was bored. So I created ways to have fun. And I was leading kids in that direction, you know. So I really, really had a village that saw potential in me before I even saw it in myself, and was like, you know what, you got a chance to get out of here and we're not going to let you blow it, even if you try. So, you know, so everybody played a role in just my development as a youngster. And so when I was young, I hated it. I felt like well, everybody in my business. And I was the youngest of three. So I was the baby. And so I had my siblings also doing this, just trying to make sure I stayed on track, you know, what my goals were and what I said I wanted, which was to get a scholarship and play basketball. And so it was just I felt like I was very sheltered and wasn't allowed to make mistakes. Like I felt like, just let me make my own mistakes. That's how I learned, right? But I had people who, they weren't going to let me fail. And so, yeah, it wasn't until I got older that I was able to really appreciate the structure and the village that I really had, that like believed in me and supported me with everything that I did. And so, so that really like was like the foundation for my career, that I had a solid foundation. I had a true village. I had a lot of support, a lot of protection, and a lot of people rooting on me to just win, you know. Growing up the youngest of three siblings, I grew up in a very competitive household. So my siblings ran. My sister's 10 years older than me. My brother's 8 years older than me. right? And my parents were athletes. So we'd go to the grocery store, and then coming out of the store, they say, the last one to the car is a rotten egg. Everybody busts out in the sprint. I'm like 4 years old, right? I'm 4.
I remember those days.
And I got a full sprint.
Right.
And then, so now I'm the rotten egg, and I'm just flipping out in the parking lot, like, I lost, and they're laughing at me because I lost. Losing in my
You
house.
had the shortest legs back then, though. You were 4.
Losing in my house was unbearable. They made it unbearable to lose. They laughed at you. You were the rotten egg, So I grew up like I had to earn a win. Nobody let me win. My mom used to be like, she's 4. You're 14 years old. Let her win sometimes. And they're like, no, she got to earn it. So I grew up super, super competitive. To this day, Tony, I will try to eat my cereal faster than you. we're having breakfast. I'm trying to beat you and eat my cereal. Like,
Right.
I cook a little basket of wings. I'm counting how many wings he ate, and I'm trying to hurry up and eat.
You like, come on, catch up. You behind? Catch up.
So yeah, for me, everything was a competition, and it made me extremely competitive. So this is kind of how I kicked off my career. Playing on the street with tons of kids. I'm talking red light, green light with a basketball, like dodgeball with a basketball. So if you didn't dodge right, you got a concussion. You got hit in the head with a basketball.
Dodgeball?
Right. We should call that in Chicago. We played a game called Heel Deal. And same thing.
Gosh.
You put one person on by themselves to start off, and it's like 10 or 15 people, maybe more than that. And the one person's got to make it all the way across without getting touch, tagged, or hit. And the more people you touch, the more people get in the middle down to the last person. If the last person made between 15 people, that person probably was a true athlete.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. So my lateral movement, was like on point before I even went to college. So yeah, just growing up in that kind of environment, learning how to earn a win, being extremely competitive, hating to lose, and just having a village, that just set the stage for me. And then in the 7th grade, I was introduced to basketball. Now, prior to that, my parents did an incredible job of exposing me to everything in my community. If they had it, I was in it. So I started dancing school at 2 years old. Like, I was a kid who had rhythm at 2. I was in my car seat, bobbing my head to the beat of the music. I was going like, before I can even snap my fingers, I was going like this to the beat. And my parents picked up like, this kid got rhythm. So they put me in dancing school. I took tap, ballet, jazz, and acrobats.
Oh my
Acrobats
gosh.
is gymnastics without the mat. So you hit your head on the floor, they just rub your head and made you do it again so you wouldn't have fear, right?
Right.
So I'm doing no hand cartwheels up and down my street, which was a brick road, right? Just no hand cartwheels, walking on my hands all the way down the street. I was that kid. By 4, I was taking piano lessons. By 5, I was at modeling school. At 8, I was in karate lessons. They just exposed me to everything to figure out like what was my gift. My siblings did track. That was their thing. I did run track, but they were just exposing me to a lot of different things. So by the 7th grade, at my school, you could play basketball. And so like as a 5th and 6th grader, people used to ask me if I played for the high school. I was like, no, I'm a 6th grader.
Right.
That means you had height. You had height at 6th and 7th grade.
6 feet in the 6th grade with a size 12 men's shoe.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I needed that tonight.
I was taller than the girls, the boys, the teachers. I was taller than my mom. When I was 9 years old, I was wearing my mom's high heel shoes to school.
Oh man.
9. So I was a giant, and I went to school early at 4. My mom was like, if she goes to school when she's supposed to at 6, she's going to tower over every kid at the school. So they put me in school early. But I was that big kid, and so I started in the 7th grade. By then I was 6'1". I never jumped. I felt like, why do I need to jump? You know what I mean? I could just get the rebound.
Put my hands up.
Yeah. So being tall kind of made me lazy because I felt like I felt like I was being extra by jumping. Like, and so 7th grade, I was about 6'2", could touch the rim, but still didn't jump to shoot, rebound, or anything, but could just run up to the rim and like touch the rim as an 8th grader. I got to the 9th grade and, just going through that transition of starting all over again as a 9th grader. And, I was in the band at that time. Our band had hazing. Like
Oh,
My band had hazing
like
too.
KK
Yeah.
No, I had band hazing too in my high school. It was ridiculous.
Oh yeah, you went to band camp as a freshman. You got tortured, and you were assigned a senior. So I had a senior who I didn't even have a name. My name was Freshman, and some of the seniors from my band also played basketball. So I was getting hazed on the basketball team as well. And so, yeah, it was just a lot of that. It wasn't until I was a 10th grader, the summer of my sophomore year, I went to a basketball camp at Ohio State. Some of my teammates were going. I wanted to go to. My mom was like, "How much is this camp?" I said,
right. That's my favorite question back in the day.
Yeah, it was about $175, something like that. My mom was like, "What? For a camp, just for you to decide you're going to do something else next year?" I was like, "No, Mom, I'm going to stick with basketball. Please, I promise." So my mom she put a jerry curl in somebody's hair. She made a prom gown. My mom was into multiple streams of income way back in the day. She baked a couple pies and sold them at the church and got the money and sent me to the camp at Ohio State. And at this camp, it was the best thing that ever happened to me because I couldn't get a rebound, Tony. I couldn't score. There were girls my height, but they were like stronger than me, thicker than me. They were bending their knees on defense. I still wasn't bending my knees yet. I didn't think that was cool. Right. So at this camp, I couldn't do anything. So I had to finally, like everything my coaches had been telling me to do, I had to put it all together at this camp. So that was just the best thing for me. And so it was an eye opener for me and so they did have an all-star game. I didn't make the all-star team. So that was very humbling for me. Right. And then somebody got hurt right before the all-star game. They needed one more person. So they threw me on the all-star team. And so I got to play. I got some looks from some schools because I was on that all-star team. I can't remember if I scored or whatever, but I got home from the camp and I got a letter saying, "Thank you for coming to the camp. Fill out this questionnaire. We think you could play collegiately someday." And I was like, what? This was the first time I ever thought about playing basketball for a college. Like,
and now we talking about, for these people that listen, we talking about early 90s. So we're talking about late 80s, early 90s, where you physically had to write a letter, send it to the school, or the coach reached out. Hopefully the gatekeeper got a chance to, to pass the letter on. So listen, we are going to take a quick break in this first quarter, come back with my special guest and Val, the voice here on the Pull Up Podcast Show. It's your main man, the one and only Coach Tony. Val, pay some of these bills real quick. We'll be right back.
Are you a small business owner looking to grow? Introducing the KeySpot mobile app. I'm Cynthia McAllister, owner of the IT company Quality SAP. Since 2016, we have been supporting small businesses and help them promote and share their businesses, services, and events across the country. KeySpot is more than just an app. We are a network providing community. KeySpot, connecting communities and supporting small businesses.
Welcome back to the Pull Up Podcast Show. The main man, the one and only Coach Tony, and my special guest, Coach Sylvia Crawley-Spahn. Let me tell you something. I don't know if you know or not. I'm big with that
OH-I-O.
There you go. Hey, and I'm hoping my girls watching had a little side hustle bet going on during the playoffs. So senior night tonight, I had to wear a Notre Dame hat, but I made her wear a Buckeyes warm-up during the warm-up. She was pissed. So I loved it. Bella, baby, thank you for checking in tonight on the airways. I appreciate you jumping on. Johnny Pratt, see you on the air with us tonight. and make sure you guys get some questions out from my guests. So this is funny. So you get to the camp, and I totally get it because I'm running those camps, and I see those girls, and I'm always like, "What are you doing? Get out and play defense. Hey, you're not even moving. You're not boxing out. You're not moving your feet. None of that." Did you end up having any of the girls at your school at any of these camps when you came out, like the high school team that you guys ended up going on win a state championship and do anything at all?
No, we went all the way to state on I think my sophomore year and my
Okay.
junior year. But we had some really good upperclassmen. They were very good, very highly recruited. When they graduated, it was kind of like I was the next leader. And I was like, I don't even want to play on this team. I don't even know if we're going to be good this year, Mom. And my mom was like, listen, you're not transferring. Do you always think the grass is greener on the other side? Water your own grass. Make your
So
own
figure it
team.
out.
Yeah, like you're the leader now. So you got to help the younger ones and make your team good, you know? And so, yeah, I did have some teammates that went to the camp as well. But by this time they're graduating. So I'm the upperclassman, I'm the leader, you know? And so yeah, by my junior year, I believe I was being recruited by almost 250 schools. Like the word just started spreading. Like, hey, there's this kid. She's raw. She's from Steubenville, Ohio. You know, nobody had ever heard of Steubenville. You know,
Right.
but coaches know coaches. They're all friends with each other, and the word started spreading that I was 6'5" by this. No, 6'3" at this time. So I was 6'3". I still was green. You know, they were considering me green. Like she's still raw. She got a lot of work to do, but she's coachable. She comes from a good family, good, you know, environment and things like that. So school started coming to watch me play. And I started out my freshman year, I played JV and varsity. Played more JV just so I could get experience because the varsity team was really, really good, especially in a post position. So they knew I wouldn't get to play that much. And I was happy being, you know, with my age group of friends and stuff. And then by the end of my freshman year, I started playing more varsity. My sophomore year, I was a starter on the varsity team. And now it's like my junior year. So yeah, our team, you know, we went to regionals, but not very far. Going into my senior year, I'm now averaging like 18 points, 19 rebounds, and 10 blocks. So
man. That's an ugly triple-double there. That's
And my city did not have an AAU team.
right.
So I traveled all the way. My coach, shout out to Roger Micker, one of the best high school coaches, because he really advocated for us as players. Like he would write colleges and send them our video. Like back then you have VHS.
VHS tape. I'm with you.
Yeah, no
Right
links, you know. So he literally was putting them in envelopes and using his own money to mail this stuff out with, you know, all my stats on a sheet of paper and stuff. You couldn't find that on the internet back then. And he was mailing this out to like countless schools across the country, not just for me. He did this for other players as well. But he found an AAU team on the other side of Ohio, Urbana, Ohio. So I live on the side of Ohio where it's like next to West Virginia, Pennsylvania.
Right.
Urbana is over on the Cincinnati side.
Right, on Cincinnati side, exactly.
So I had this little hoopty car. It was my dad's work car that my parents gave me. I would drive that all the way across state every weekend to practice with this team. And so I played with them just for one summer of my juniors. The summer, I was like a rising senior that year. So I played just for one summer with them. North Carolina saw me play there and started recruiting me. But prior to that, they got to see me kind of play when I was younger and kept an eye on me over the years. And I was growing each year. And so they saw me play in Urbana, started recruiting me. It was too much traveling back and forth by myself, 3.5 hours. And so my parents, all right, you got your offers. And that's it.
Exactly.
And so school started coming to my school to see me, to visit me. And they weren't asking Tony how many points I averaged or anything like that. They wanted to know how many times I got sent to timeout, how many times I have been expelled from school, what my attendance record was at school. I was like, what? They're asking
and, you know,
me?
it's always unusual stuff. I tell my kids, that's funny you say that. I was just telling the kids on my AAU team a couple of years ago. I know programs that coaches hire the assistants to go sit in, go to AAU tournaments, but their job is not to go watch them at the tournament. They go find the local McDonald's, Wendy's, and they go sit in there and look like a normal person reading the paper. And they'll follow the kid. When the kid's going across the street, see where they go eating, they'll sit in the corner. They want to know if you in there acting a fool, pouring pop all on the floor, pinching girls, talking crazy, doing bad things, because that's part of their culturally environment. And if you can't survive that, most coaches don't want you.
Yeah. They came to my neighborhood. They wanted to know what kind of kid I was around the block. You know what I mean? Like, am I egging people's houses or
Right.
you know
Throwing
what?
toilet paper in the trees.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out my character, because if they're going to offer you a scholarship worth, X amount of dollars, they want to make
Yep.
sure that you're going to come there and represent their university in a first class manner. And so I had no idea they were going to check that kind of stuff. I'm
That's
thinking they're just going to come to watch me play.
right.
And so I mean, luckily for me, my mom had me doing community service. I had perfect attendance at school. I had times where I would leave school a little bit early, but in terms of like being in school every day, I had perfect attendance. My parents went to work every day, so there was no call out sick. There were no sick days. My parents were like, "No, we got to work. If we don't work, you don't eat. So if you sick, go to the nurse's office, take an aspirin, and you'll be better in a little bit." But
Now I got kids that feel like they got a fever. They call me. They stay in school all day long, Silver. Then they'll call me and say, "Coach, I wasn't feeling good. I'm gonna go ahead and make it home." I said, "Wait a minute. You didn't sit in this school for 7 hours, and all of a sudden, 15 minutes before basketball practice, you ain't feeling good. You need to go home." Like, oh, okay. I ain't gonna even worry about that. I see you tomorrow. You got to make it up. But see, the thing about it is, which I couldn't believe you didn't do, you're sitting in the heart of my love. I'm from Chicago, so you're sitting in the heart of Big Ten, big time Big Ten, and you decide to go down to Tobacco Road. But what a lot of people don't get down in Tobacco Road at this time, you're on the backside of the man, Dean Smith. He's down there on the backside. You're coming in. The men's program is just coming off. The ACC now starting to heat up. This is back-to-back when Duke just won back-to-back over Kentucky and then UNLV. Then Carolina comes in, and you're sitting down there with George Lynch, Rasheed Wallace, Rick Fox was, I think, down there, the coach right now, Hubert Davis, and then you on the girls' side. So what was it like where you're now really, you still just really learning the game. You're playing, but you really starting to really get into that, okay, how did those guys treat you once you got to campus and you started to know who they were and saw how big their names were and they were looking at going to the NBA? Were they there to give you a lot of good guidance?
Well, first of all, let me say that because I went to camp at Ohio State, my siblings both went to Ohio University. So I grew up on that campus. I felt like these campuses and schools are played out for me because I'm from here and I had been there so much,
I got you.
And Ohio State really didn't recruit me early. They waited. They waited until the tail end of my recruiting process, and I felt like, where y'all been? And I'm right here, So I felt some kind of way about that.
Right.
Plus, I felt like if these schools going to pay me for education, I'm going as far as I can. Like, I want to see a different part of the country where they got an accent,
Exactly. And that's what you almost figure out when you graduate. I tell kids all the time, most kids, when you get a chance to go play college ball, like say, hey, you figure out where you don't want to be and you figure out where you could possibly move to later on.
Yeah. And I was never a homebody kid. When I went to camp, my parents didn't hear from me the whole week. You know what I mean? I wasn't that kid that called home every day like, Mom, I want to come home. Like, out of sight, out of mind for me. So my parents knew, like, she probably going to go far and we ain't going to hear from her when she goes, right? So I chose the University of North Carolina out of all 5 schools that I got my visits to go see. And when I got, so my recruiting visit, let me tell you, Tony, it's a funny story. My host asked me what I like to do. I said, I like to dance. Cause I told you I went to dancing school.
Okay.
So they took me to a party at North Carolina. And when I get there, I'm with all the women's basketball players. We all in the corner, and this tall guy comes, taps me on my shoulder. It's Rick Fox. And he's like, would you like to dance? And I'm like, me? He's like, yeah, you. So I go out there and I'm dancing with Rick Fox, right? So I come back and I had somebody hold my jacket. So I come back, I get my jacket, they tap me on my shoulder. Would you like to dance? It's George Lynch. I'm like,
Oh,
with me? He's like, yeah. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, can you hold my jacket again? They were like, what? They screaming. I'm looking like, hey, if you got it, you got it, you know?
right. You like, hey, I'm in the mix. Hey, let me get them papers so I can sign right here.
Right. Football players, like they were all tall. They all asked me to dance. I danced all night long, Tony. This was on a Saturday. Sunday, I was like, where do I sign?
Exactly. Exactly. That's exactly how it is.
My parents, we had a list of things that we felt like were important that we wanted to see in every school. And this list was supposed to take the emotions out of it. All right, let's get back to the list. Do they have your major, Sylvia? You're thinking about dancing with tall boys, but like, did they have your major? Did you go to a classroom setting to see the teacher-student ratio?
Right.
You know, did you go to a practice? How many centers do they have over there? You know, you got to wait your turn at some of these schools. So
Right.
I had some things that were important to me, but as a graduating, I was 17. So going on these
Yep.
visits, I'm a 16-year-old. So the things that's important
You're
to me,
young coming in. Yeah, like
I
me.
want to know,
You're
like,
young.
can I wear my jersey number? Like, my parents are like, that's not a deal breaker right there.
Right.
My parents had some academic things. My coaches put some things on the list. So Sunday, I'm like, where do I sign? Like Rick Fox and George Lynch dance with me? Like, sign me up. My parents like, whoa, get the list out. Okay. So we go through the list. North Carolina checked every box on my list, right?
Oh, wow.
So Coach Hatchell, you know, on the last day, that's where they put the squeeze on you, try to get you to commit. I had taken, this was my 4th visit. I had one more visit left at Texas A&M. I fell in love with that coach there. He had been recruiting me like for a very long time. So he said he knew that North Carolina was my #1 school, and he made me promise that I wouldn't commit. He was like, they're going to put the pressure on you. I'm telling you. He was like, but if you're going to come, I'm going to buy your ticket. You got to give me your word that you're going to come if I purchase this ticket. I said, I'll give you my word. My parents said I'm not committing on any visit. We're going to come home, go over our list. So when I get there, all the boxes are checked, right? So the coach was like, are you ready to be a Tar Heel? I said, well, you know, my parents said we were going to come home and make a decision. And she was like, what's stopping you? Because I felt like you had the time of your life. And I was like, well, I did tell the other coach I was going to wait for one more visit. And I gave him my word that I would come. And then my family, like, your word is your bond. Like, your word is everything, right?
That's all you got.
So she said, listen, you don't do them a favor. If your heart is here, you do them no favor by going on a visit. She said, do you know how much a visit costs? She said, we brought you, your mama, and your daddy here. We done wine and dined you 3 meals a day. We put you in the best hotel. We took you to a tailgate again. And she told me how much that costs. No coach had ever did that before, right? She said,
and we talking about back in the day.
Yeah. She said, if you go down there to Texas A&M and spend that kind of money, and then come Monday, you tell them you're committing to North Carolina, they're going to be upset with you because you wasted their time and their money. It's better if you tell them right now, and then they can go recruit who they can get. And so she said, I'm going to step out the room and let you talk to your mom and dad. So she stepped out, and my parents were like, I said, I gave them my word. And my parents was like, she's right. If you know this is where your heart is, don't go down there playing games with those people. Let them know that, you know, you're going to commit, and they can recruit. They can use that money to recruit who they can recruit. They said that's the right thing to do. Right. So my parents like gave me their blessings. And when she came in, I was like, I'm ready to be a Tar Heel. So come to find out, Tony, the next year we had recruits coming, and our team said, call men's basketball and tell them we got to recruit so they can ask them to dance. And I was like, what?
Right.
Is that what y'all did for me? They said, absolutely. I was like, wow.
Hey, then you had it down pat. Oh my God.
They had me. But I will say that we had study hall together, all the athletes, men's basketball, football. So we were all like brothers and sisters, you know. We had a training table back then. So we all ate in the same cafeteria. And so we were a tight-knit group, you know. We went to all men's basketball games. You know, we met Michael Jordan. So Michael Jordan had camps at Elmhurst College. So
Mhm.
2 people from women's basketball and 2 players from men's basketball got to work Michael Jordan's camp every year. I worked his camp 2 years in a row. So we
Yep.
got to meet Mike, and that kind of stuff. So it was really like one big family. And then, the men had the Smith Center, the women lived in, the women played in Carmichael, and the guys
Mhm.
lived in a different area on the campus. So it started to kind of like separate a little bit. But when I was there, we studied, we ate, we did everything together. So it was like one big family, So I, was going through school so by then, like King Rice, Rick Fox, they were all
Yep. Yeah.
seniors,
Yeah.
right, when I came in. So they graduated, and then in came the Rasheed Wallace, Stackhouse, Jeff
Yep.
McGinnis, those guys, were there. And we all went pro at the same time. So they left early. They were sophomores, and they went pro when I was a senior.
Yeah.
So just no regrets about my decision. We were last in the ACC when I came in as a freshman. We were national champions when I left as a senior. So I went
Yeah.
through a mentality change, a
Yep.
culture change,
That's why I got to have you talk to my girls. When I came in through the door of this high school, bottom of the barrel, I told them I don't need 5. Give me 3 to 4. And now we're 9 freshmen deep. It's 4 seniors. I'm getting ready to 5 seniors graduating senior night tonight. One sophomore, 1 junior, and the rest freshman. So I got everybody rocking and rolling. So it's going to be absolutely awesome. We're going to pick back up on the other side. Got a little video for you too. I'm going to surprise you. We're going to take a halftime break. We're going to go in here and talk to these boys. Val, pay a couple more bills. We're going to be right back with your boy, Coach Tony, on the Pull Up Podcast Show. Val, take us to halftime. Hey, it's your main man, right back at you. Coming live here from the Rise Studios. And it's your guy talking about what? Pull Up Podcast Show. What is the Pull Up Podcast Show? It's a brand new podcast hitting your airways nationwide, talking everything on sports, from baseball, basketball, hockey, and then I tell you, we're going to have a lot of fun. So make sure, if you want your questions answered, you want to have fun talking a lot of sports, make sure you pull up on me, because it's the Pull Up Podcast Show.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up.
Also, for those that want to learn a little bit more about this right here, oh yeah. That right there, that's the Rise, NIL, talking name, image, and likeness. Those having opportunities to get paid, you want to tune in to it.
Sports show, let's go. It's the Pull Up Podcast show. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up. Let's.
There have been countless women who can slam dunk the basketball over the years. I won't even begin to list names for fear that I may leave someone out. However, here's a fun fact. In my family, there is not 1, not 2, but 3 women who could dunk. Number 1, Georgianne Wells from West Virginia University. On December 21st, 1984, off of a breakaway layup, Georgianne dunked on the University of Charleston. For years, she never got credit as being the first woman to dunk in a collegiate game because the coach refused to turn in a video. After all, who wants to be known as the first team in history to get dunked on? The second person, yours truly, from the University of North Carolina. I won the first ever ABL female slam dunk contest, and I won it with a perfect score of 50 with a blindfolded dunk. And the third person, Jordan Horston from the University of Tennessee. Unlike Georgianne and I, Jordan is a guard. She can shoot the ball, drive, pass it, rebound, and she loves to defend. But the part of her game that I think that everybody is sleeping on, she's a 6'2" point guard who can dunk. Call it coincidence if you want to. I think not. Congratulations, Jordan, on being part of the 2023 WNBA draft. Our family is extremely proud of you, and we are rooting you on. Best wishes. You don't have next. You got now.
Who that is, I got now. Favor only, watch out now. Baby.
Ooh, man, that is. I like getting catching up videos like that. And this is, so we get up out of Carolina. Now you're a national champion. Now, the crazy part about it is the WNBA is not around. So you end up joining the ABL and end up going over. Tell us a little bit about the professional experience, where you end up after that.
Yeah, so you're correct. There was not a professional league in the United States when I graduated from Carolina. And so I had to go overseas. If you wanted to pursue a professional career, that's where you went. And so I played in 16 different countries.
Wow.
Yeah, so I was in Spain at the time, and I got a letter saying, hey, are you tired of playing where your grandparents can't watch you play? And I was like, yes. They're like, are you homesick and rather play in front of where your high school team and
Right.
your
Sound
old
like a
coaches?
2 a.m. commercial that you wake up in the middle of the night.
I was like, yes. And they were like, well, there's a league coming. It's called the ABL. And so so I was like, all right, I'm playing in the ABL because I'm tired of playing overseas. And then I got another letter saying there's another league coming. And this league has the backing of the NBA. We got TV contracts. We got, commercials, and you'll have endorsements. And if you just wait a little bit longer on us, and this is called the WNBA. And so for the ABL, though, they said, should the name be the WABL or the ABL? Because they don't say the men's NBA. And I was like, yeah, you're right. It should be called the ABL. They said, should you play in the summers or should you play during basketball season when basketball was played? And I was like, I think we should play during basketball season. They were like, should the ball be smaller so that more women can dunk, or should it be bigger? And I was like, well, if you make it smaller, there's some guards that'll never be able to dunk. And they've been practicing a 3-point shot on a women's ball. So if you change the size of the ball, it's going to change people's shots, and the games will be terrible and people won't respect it anyways, right?
Correct.
So we got the vote on the rules, and I was like, I like it. Cool. So I played in the ABL because I felt like this is a players' league. They are asking our opinion. It matters. So we literally got to create a league that we wanted. So I played in the ABL, and that's where I won the slam dunk contest blindfolded. And then shortly after that, the league filed bankruptcy because at this point in time, there's 2 leagues now, and they're competing for TV games and commercials and stuff like that. So the NBA was like, all right, if you show the ABL games, you won't get NBA or WNBA games. And people wanted those NBA games. So they're like, wait, they wouldn't touch the ABL.
like hold up, wait a minute.
Yeah. So that league filed bankruptcy. There were 20 spots in the WNBA for 90 people who lost their job in the ABL. And we all knew each other. And the ABL players, we all were friends with each other. They gave us a jersey with a number on the back and said, may the best 20 win. And we fought each other like cats and dogs for those 20 spots. Like we had no resume. We had no work experience. We had no plan B. We had just been hooping our whole lives. Right. You play AAU every summer so that you could get your scholarship. You got your scholarship. You stayed at school every summer lifting weights so that you could go pro. You went pro, and then the ABL folded, and you're like, what the heck do we do? Like, where do we go? And so, so that was a very pivotal moment in my life because I felt like, obviously I wasn't born to play basketball. Like God has a purpose for my life. And I was like in search of that purpose. I was like, God, you don't have to let me know what I was created for. Obviously there's other things that I can do. Show me what they are, And so there was a draft that they had for those 90 players. And my name was never called. I did not get drafted to the WNBA. So my agent was like, all right, keep the dream alive. I'm gonna put you overseas. So he sent me to Italy so I could stay in shape, get stronger. I said, I need feedback from those coaches. I need to know why they didn't draft me because I had just won a dunk contest. People were like, oh, she'll definitely get drafted. She won't go first round, but she'll probably go second round. Well, somebody picked somebody that everybody didn't expect to pick, and the whole draft got bumped. And I got bumped off, and the feedback that I got was that I just wasn't strong enough, that the WNBA was a little more physical and I wasn't ready for the physicality of the next league. So sent me to Italy. I'm over there trying to gain weight, get stronger, I found an agent over there. She was like, what are you doing over here? Like, you should be playing in the WNBA. And I was like, I didn't get drafted. And she was like, oh my goodness, who's your agent? She's like, and I had an agent that represented some football, some NFL players.
Wow.
And we only had 2 women's basketball players. And so she was like, no, you got to be aligned with the right agent who knows people. If they don't know anybody in the WNBA, that's not the best agent for you. So I ended up signing with her. There were 4 franchises that opened that year: Cleveland Rockers, Portland Fire, Orlando Miracle, and Miami Soul. And she was from Portland, this agent. So she got me invited to the Portland Fire training camp. And when I got back from Italy, I went straight to camp. And it was an inaugural season. In hindsight, Tony, like not being drafted to the WNBA was the first time I had set a goal and did not get it. In my mind, that was failure. And I felt like nobody prepared me for failure. They prepared me to win national champions. I was a gold medalist at this time. I was prepared to win gold medals, but nobody prepared me for when the draft came and went, my name wasn't called, right? And so I took it very hard. I was being very hard on myself. And so had I been drafted in that 20, had they sent me to the Sparks, I was never going to Lisa Leslie. That was her team. If I was to the Houston Comets, I wasn't going to start over Tina Thompson. That was her team. Like every team had an established center that was an Olympian.
Yeah.
So me not being drafted was a blessing in disguise, because when I went to the training camp at Portland Fire, there was no starting center. It was wide open. They were like, we don't have no centers. You know what I mean? Like, look to the left and to the right. Don't make a friend. We got 3 practices a day. If you don't work hard, you're going to be on the next flight smoking. So like we literally would like run to our coach's office and they would have names on the list and we looked to see if our name was on there.
Right.
Like, I live to fight another practice, you know?
Hey.
And so I ended up making that team. I was a starter, the starting center. I won the first inaugural jump ball, first rebound, first shot. You know, it's like I was in the history books just like that.
Man, that is and a little tidbit I know to backtrack. You end up hitting the last jumper in your college career, so you went out on top and made the last jumper, and you got your jersey retired in the Raptors in Carolina. So that's awesome. So it's just been kind of following you along the way, and then Portland ended up getting you into Indiana Fever. How did you end up getting to the Fever?
The last shot, Tony. The girl.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Right there, Charlotte Smith hit the shot.
Ah, okay.
One of my best friends on planet Earth. But yeah, I set the screen for her to shoot the shot. She's the one that hit that shot. But you know, we all got a ring. So
yeah,
you know. But yeah, so I, you know, was able to make history. And that was an incredible, you know, situation for me playing for Portland Fire, and ended up being a starter for the rest of my career. So I often say to people, if you don't get drafted, that's not the end of the world. There's so many different ways that you can go about getting in the league. I came in the back door and kicked down the back door and was like, oh no, y'all gonna make room for me. And so I'll never forget, I got a chance to play against some of the coaches who said I wasn't strong enough for the physicality.
That's always the best.
Yeah. And they were like, oh, well, she's so much stronger now. And I'm like, I weigh the same amount of pounds and I bench press the same amount of weight. I'm just getting an opportunity. And like, when I tell you the coach that picked me up for Portland Fire, I would run through a brick wall for her because she believed in me. And the whole team at Portland Fire, we were like players that, you know, people slept on, people looked over, you know, and one man's junk is another man's treasure. You know, I wasn't a good fit for somebody else, and that's fine, you know, but my coach, she allowed me to play as a forward for the first time in my career. So we had another player, her name was Elisa Burris. She was only 6'2", but she was thick. Like she would box you out the half court and she was going to get that rebound, you know?
Right.
And she loved playing right up under the basket. That's what I loved about her. That was her home. Like she wanted to be right around that basket. I wanted to venture out because the way I was built, if I could just give you a foot fake, I could get by my man. You know, if I had a running start, I could get that rebound. But to put me on the block and make me fight with other
and then go vertical
stronger than me, yeah, that wasn't my strength. But this coach, she kind of let me do my thing. She let me play in the short corner at the top of the key. She let me shoot threes, you know. Sometimes I go coast to coast. I would drive her crazy, but
let's go. Let's go.
As long as I made that shot, if I missed it, I was coming out and I knew it.
Right. Yeah,
But,
you already knew the rules.
Yeah, but Linda Hargrove, shout out to her. She was a player's coach, and she just allowed us to play according to our strengths, and we loved her. Like, we would run through a brick wall. And so, we won some games, we lost some games, but at the end of the day, we were like a real family. And I had never experienced that since North Carolina. By this time I had played in different countries, and it's just different. Like, the team feel was different. And then on a pro level, it's not as team oriented as college. In college, you have pregame meal together. And the pros, they give you per diem. You get your own food, and we'll see you at the game.
Yeah.
You might catch a taxi to the game or Uber to the game. Whereas in college, you're all going on the same bus to the game.
Yep.
So it's different. In college, you lift weights as a team. In the pros, they say, all right, you got 10 lifts this month. If you don't get them in, you'll be fined $2,000. So you choose if you want to get stronger or not, In the pros, if you need more conditioning, well, get out there and run some sprints, get on a treadmill, But we, when it's the season in the WNBA, you play every other day. So we're not going to wear out your legs. You just got 1 hour shoot around practices once the season starts. If you need more cardio, get out there and run. Whereas in college, we was on the track. It was a lot of running. So very, very different. And so because it's like that, there's less of that team family feel on the pro level, because now you're playing for money. This is your job. You know what I mean? Everybody's trying to get
the real
there.
world.
And it's less teamwork because everybody's trying to get theirs, But at Portland Fire, it was like a real, true family. I really enjoyed playing with my teammates and my coaches there. And then from there, so in 2002, the WNBA opened it up for every NBA franchise to buy their sister WNBA franchise. And that year, the Trailblazers said they did not want the Portland Fire. So our team folded. So now, again, I'm being dispersed in a dispersal draft.
You're used to it now.
Yeah. And people don't understand. You have to pack up your whole house.
Yeah, you do.
And, you go to church there. You got your grocery store, your hairdresser, and all that kind of stuff. You got to pack up everything and just go. And so I got traded to Indiana Fever for one day. Tamika Catchings picked me up from the airport and was like, yeah, I got a center to pass the ball to. I went to bed. I woke up. A light was on my phone. I called them. That's like, oh, a package. It was a letter saying, congratulations, you've been traded to San Antonio. The next day. So I get to San Antonio, and I'm playing for the San Antonio Silver Stars. And that ended up being a team that I retired from. It's from San Antonio. And now, at this time, Tony, I know my playing career is coming to an end. So while I was playing for Portland, actually, I transitioned into coaching. And so I got no coaching experience, but I think I want to just try it out to see if I like it. So I went back to my college, the University of North Carolina, and I said, I think I want to coach. Coach Hatch was like, I think you'll make a great coach, So she hired me, and I had a prorated contract. So I coached for 9 months for North Carolina, and I played in the WNBA for 3 months. And I did that. I did that for 2 years. I did that. So I was one of 7 players who did both. Suicidal, Tony. It's crazy because on your off season, you're supposed to be getting better. But on my off season, I was coaching.
Your off season, you are recruiting.
Yeah, I'm recruiting. I'm coaching. I'm up at 6 o'clock in the morning on the track. Like, when am I supposed to work out? Right. So that was crazy, but that gave me a very unique experience where I got to play and coach simultaneously for 2 years. So as I was playing, when I was coaching, I was trying to figure out, okay, I went from a participant to an observant. How do I do on the sidelines what I was able to do in a huddle? Like, in a huddle, I could grab my teammate by her shirt and say, listen, this will not be my last game. You better box out. You know what I mean? How do I do that from over here?
Yes.
And so I had 2 years to figure that out because I would switch from player to coach. You know what I mean? And so what I learned from that is that the reason why I could grab my teammate by the shirt and say that is because I had a relationship with her.
Correct.
And there was other teammates where I couldn't do that. I couldn't grab them by their shirt because they would be crying, saying that I didn't like them and I was disrespecting them.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I had relationships with every single player on my team, and I knew exactly how to motivate them. And so I figured out as a coach, I have to build relationships with these players so that I know how to effectively communicate to them from the sidelines. And so that was a very pivotal moment in my life in terms of like transitioning into coaching. And so, yeah, I retired in 2004. I still had 2 more years left on my contract. I wanted to retire on my own terms. I got a chance to talk to Michael Jordan the second time he retired. And I said, Mike, how do you know when it's time to retire? And he said, Crowley, your body and your heart will let you know when it's your time.
Yeah, it will.
And he said, I got plenty of friends that did not retire on their own terms. It got snatched away from them. Like they got injured or they got traded from team to team. Like, you know, when you're on your way out, because you start getting traded from team to team to team to team, and then boom, you're out the league. He said, and they're stuck right there. To this day, they are stuck right there. They had a great career. Like they were Olympians on the dream team. But because it got snatched away, they're still stuck to this day, and they dreaming through their kids, and they still talk about when they did this, did that. He was like, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to dream through my kids. I don't want to coach my kids. I want them to have their own life. He said, so I walked away with my legacy intact, and I walked away, you know, on my own free will. And so I understood what he was saying, but when it was my time to retire, Tony, I overstood. Like my body and my heart was just letting me know, because I love the game of basketball.
Right.
But it got to the point where it was like, I don't want to do this. Like I just didn't even want to play. And I was like, I'm not going to do that to the game. Like I will just walk away, step away before I do the game a disservice like that. And so, yeah, I still had 2 more years left on my contract. By this time, D Brown is my coach from the NBA. Yep. I flew to San Antonio, and I was like, D, I'm done. He was like, no, Sylvia, I have plans for you. I was like, yeah, man, you can have this. Right. I'm out. And so then I just went full time into coaching. I went from North Carolina, and I moved fast in the coaching industry. Like normally you start at like high school level, maybe AAU, then you go to college. I went straight to college and at my alma mater, which was an honor to coach at the same school that you played at. Right. And then I went to Fordham University. So I was a first assistant. I went from 3rd assistant at North Carolina to 1st assistant at Fordham. So I skipped 2nd assistant, right? Right. Never was a director of basketball ops or a grad assistant or anything like that. I went straight from the 3rd assistant, 1st assistant. That coach resigned. I just coached at Fordham for 1 year. The coach resigned that year. I became the interim head coach. This is only like my 2nd year coaching. Right. No, this is my 3rd year of coaching. So 2 years as a 3rd assistant, 1 year as a 1st assistant. I'm the interim. That's how I got a chance to get at you and meet you during the time at Fordham. So that just goes way back. So that's just absolutely amazing. And looking at that journey, we're gonna take our last break of the day. I'm gonna let you finish on that, and then we're gonna get into this book you just wrote. I want to know a little bit about that. Val, let's take our last break of the day, going into the 4th quarter here on the Pull Up Podcast Show. We'll be right back.
We're kicking off a whole brand new season. I know you guys have missed us, but we are back. And of course, it's always exciting and wonderful to have a very talented individual who has started a wonderful tech company. And then, of course, he is the host of Tech Thursdays on a platform called The House of Creativity. And he has just finished his book, Where? Jamalane Wise. How are you, sir?
I'm fine. Val the Voice Johnson. I'm doing very well. Thank you for having me.
One thing I forgot to mention is that also about, I want to say October, November of last year, Wise stepped into the podcasting game, initially starting on Instagram and then started his platform, Wise Going Live. I was recently on the platform, but I think I've been there 4 times. It has been extremely gratifying to see how far you've come as a host, a podcaster, and also a moderator, sir. So I just wanted to say kudos.
Thank you. Thank you very much. When you're around great talent like yourself, Val, the voice, it only does inspires you to go forth. And we have amazing community of people that inspire us to actually, keep accountable. You keep me accountable. I keep you accountable. We all keep each other accountable, and we try to do the great thing to move forward.
What is going on? I got to do the opening. I didn't do that. Just like from that movie, I'm going to get you, sucker. Everybody needs a theme song.
And you got that right.
Everybody needs a theme song. Let's not get it twisted.
Man, welcome to the fourth quarter here on the Pull Up Podcast Show with your guy, the one and only Coach Tony, and my girl sitting in the house with me tonight, Coach Sylvia Crawley Spahn, just talking about the good old days. It's crazy. So you get off the bench as a coach, and I know exactly what you were saying earlier because, coming from the plan, and I did the whole AAU, and I had that opportunity to jump into, the old HBCU, into JUCO, now back to high school. So you did that whole merry-go-round and went on up and did your thing, and then you came off, and then you put together books. So what you tell us about that? But Gary G's in the house, and I said, hello, how you doing? It's my homeboy from Chicago. What's happening? Kevin Springer said, what's up, Coach Tony? How you doing? Val, he's in the house. He's on our Tuesday night show as well, Sylvia. He does some big things with us on Tuesday night as our moderator. So tell us a little bit about that, how then you didn't want to coach, you was a player, then you end up coaching, and then you go from coaching, now you're an author. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I'm a speaker by trade, and I'm a speaker entrepreneur, meaning that I get paid to speak before, during, and after my speech. And so I wrote a book called The Confidence Playbook for a speech that I was giving. And so and I have virtual assistants. I have a virtual assistant company called Let Us Execute. I saw it on the flyer. I was like, okay, he didn't pull my logo.
Yeah.
Shout out to my executors who they execute all the tedious tasks so you can focus on your company and your business. And so they put together a PowerPoint presentation for me. And when I looked at the PowerPoint, I was like, this is a book right here. So it's called The Confidence Playbook, and the subtitle is Strategies for Lifelong Success. And so there's different strategies throughout the book that I use to help cultivate confidence throughout my career. And even though they're like some of them are my personal stories, but I make them relatable for everybody. Like everybody can relate to it. So I purposely, for the cover of this book, Tony, I did not put a basketball on here. I did not put my picture on the front of the book for a specific reason, because I wanted to be for everybody. Right. So if you've ever been nervous before an interview, this book is for you. Like if you've ever been nervous before speaking in front of large crowds, this book is for you. If you've ever been nervous before taking a test, ACT, any kind of test for work, this book is for you. If you've ever been nervous before a game, like just performance anxiety and that kind of stuff, this book is for you. So like that reaches everybody. Everybody's been nervous about one of those things at some point in time in their life. And so it just talks about how when you practice, it breeds confidence, right? Like think about a test. If you didn't study, you're nervous before taking that test. But when you study,
unless you're a superstar,
and you did your best at studying, you feel confident going into that test, right? It's the same thing with everything that you do. Like with basketball, if you practice, you could be nervous before the game, but you know what to do because you practice. Exactly. So practice is the first one. Like focusing on your strengths. A lot of times, especially as coaches, we're always trying to work on our weaknesses. Like we feel like we're only going to be as strong as our weakest player, right? So you're always zooming in on those freshmen, on that player that you feel like you got to get to the level of the rest of the players.
Right.
And so as a player, it tends to make me focus on my weaknesses, right? I wasn't strong. I was skinny. I didn't bench press a lot. So I was always focusing on that. And so that was like my focus in college. I felt like the weak link. When I went to the pros, I said, all right, let me think about, here's what I do well. I could jump over most women. You know what I mean? Like if I get a running start, I can jump over everybody. So
Right.
like strength is in the air. If I could just get that ball, I had a high release shot. If I can turn around and get that ball in the air and then jump, who's going to block my shot? Like maybe Lisa Leslie, maybe, you know?
Right.
So I started focusing on my strengths. I had a coach that let me play in the short corner and let me play at the top of the key. Now, let me not disrespect my college coaches in any way. My role in college was to be the center. I was one of the tallest on the team. And in order for my team to win a national championship, that's what they needed me to do. So that's what I did. But in the pros, I tend to focus on my strength, which was to get a running start, to give a foot fake and beat my man off the dribble. And so once I started focusing on my strengths, my whole game went up. You know what I mean? My love for the game went up. And so I encourage people, like, start with your strengths, what you're good at first, right? And still work on your weaknesses. Like you still got to work to become better, but start with what you're good at because you'll like it more. You'll put more time and energy into it. You know what I mean? And that's your secret sauce. Another strategy is self-talk. We are so hard on ourselves, Tony. We will talk ourselves out of so many blessings.
Yeah.
You got to speak positively in your life. You know,
There you
there's
go.
life and death, and the power of the tongue is, you know what I mean? Like you can either speak life into your situation or you can speak death into your situation. And so what we're saying to ourselves is so important. Like you got to say, I think I can. I think I can. I can do all things.
I know I can. I know I can.
Right. You know, and then another one is visualization. You have to visualize yourself making baskets before you can make baskets, you know, like I had to see myself dunking blindfolded before I ever could dunk blindfolded, you know.
There you go.
And so
I thought you were just trying to pull off O.D. Brown and say it's a Ballas deal, you know what I'm saying? Just
so those are just some of the things that I talk about of how you can breed confidence. And then my favorite one is learn from lessons. Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Not lose, because if you learn from the losses, then they're never losses. You gain. You know what I mean? You gain from that. And so, you know, when you see losses or mistakes or failures as stepping stones instead of roadblocks, then you won't have a fear of failure. This is why this is why Steph Curry can miss 10 shots in a row and shoot the game-winning shot like he didn't miss the last 10.
He just did that the other night. Girl, he had 6.5, and then I had 28 in the second half.
You know why? Because he learns from lessons. Because he knows if I pull this shot and I miss it, I'm just gonna watch film, see what they did to stop me, practice and rehearse that time and time again, and then give me the rock again, coach, and I'm gonna make that shot.
Yeah, I got different release point. I got a different side step. I know the guy closing. I got a ball fake this time, a step aside. All that. I absolutely love that, and I love that you call it the playbook. Val, put that back up real quick for us, and so I can see the book with the QR code. And before we get out of here, I want to make sure that everyone that's watching, you know, have an opportunity to hit this QR code for the book and get yourself a copy of the Confidence Playbook, because as Coach just said, it's not only teaching you about the things you're doing in basketball, but you could be a business owner. You could be starting out. You could be starting your business out and wondering why your business is failing because you're saying that you're not good at it. When you should be saying, my business is great. You got to speak it into existence, and you can go into this Confidence Playbook You can get a couple things out there. Now your business is balling. So make sure you put that phone up right there to the QR code and make sure we pump this book up for my girl. I already told you today I'm getting one. I need an autograph copy of
Oh,
mine.
definitely. Definitely. I'll
Already
snap
rock
it
and
for
roll.
you.
So I'm gonna keep pushing it out like I'm Barnes and Noble. So
I want a
what's up,
copy
Val?
too. I want an autograph copy too. Yes.
Okay, no problem.
I
No
I
problem.
wanted to, Coach, I wanted to come in real quick and kind of wrap things up with this that I saw with you doing speaking, which is always phenomenal when you do. Let me go ahead and play this for you both.
Y'all got too many
Let's see.
surprises for me. I'm like, where did they get this stuff from? Faith. So I believe in prayer, and I believe that God will let me know when the right timing is. When I'm trying to do things on my own will, they tend to not happen. And I have to take that as it's just not the right time. And then when things start to happen, I know it's my time. I can feel it. I could just feel like this is my time. I got to ask while the doors are open. I often say to my mom, like, Mom, the doors are open. And she's like, well, ask what you want when the doors are open. So for me, it's just a matter of making sure that I'm still and quiet so that I can listen. And I ask for guidance in terms of timing, in terms of what to do, how to do it. Even before speaking here today, I prayed about what to say. So my body and my heart just let me know like it's time. And I retired from basketball with 2 years left on my contract. So I still had, and I probably could have went another 5 years, but I had 2 years left on that particular contract. And people were like, what are you doing? You still can play basketball for another? And I was like, I just know it's my time.
And that's big thing right there, Val. That's big right there, Val. I mean, again, she got an opportunity to sit down with with a GOAT. A lot of people don't. And when a GOAT tells you, your body and your mind will let you know, then sometimes your body and your mind know what time. Like a perfect example, Mike Tyson had no damn business boxing old boy 2 months ago. What he doing? Love Mike, man, sit down. He out there boxing now. Now he got embarrassed. Now he don't want to come back. What are you doing, Sylvia? It was just absolutely nuts.
Yeah. And so, yeah, you got to know when it's your time. And I'm actually building something right now. I've been working on this for a long time, but it's for athletes. And it's a community for athletes where they learn how to be speakers. I'm now teaching other coaches, I'm teaching current and former players and coaches how to monetize their voice. Because we all have a story, but I'm
jumping in that.
Yeah, I'm trying to teach people how to take a me story and make it a we story, make it relatable to others so that they can make it applicable for their lives and everything that they're doing. But there's a lot of athletes that they're afraid to take that next step. Like they're afraid to retire because they live this lifestyle. They got the big house, their kids are going to private school, and they feel like if they do something else, they might not be able to maintain that lifestyle. You know what I mean? And so I'm here to introduce that next step, and I want to over deliver, Tony. Like if you take my online course, I'm pouring every single thing I know because I took so many people's classes and I felt like I wasted my money. Like I don't know who
I'm with you.
I don't know who to trust. I don't know what classes. So I want to just pour everything that I know. I'm bringing in experts in every field so that they could pour everything that they know. Like you're going to get more than your bang for the buck for this, but it's going to start with a free community. Like it's free to join in the community. If you want to upgrade and do some more and learn some more, you can to whatever degree that you want. But I want to just pour a lot of value into the athletes because they dedicated their lives to what they're doing. And I want to keep them where they can still maintain their same lifestyle, but they're in a different stage. They now have a mic. And they're just sharing all the stories of their hard blood, sweat, and tears because fans want to hear about that. They want the inside scoop of that, but make it where they can apply it to their lives, make it applicable to their lives. And so I'm super excited about this. I could barely sleep at night right now because it's coming, and it's coming in a very big way, and we're getting the sponsorship and the backing for it so that we can have like paid speaking gigs for the athletes, you know, so they could get experience right within our community and speak to the fans and get paid to do so. So
Man.
super excited about it. I'll give you more details as it rolls out.
Yeah, please do, so I can keep pushing out. And I definitely want to take a look at that. Val always talked to me about the same thing. Like, Coach, you need to tell your story. I get about all my homeboys tell me that, because it's been, you know, some of the things I've been, and you know, and I got a chance to jump in from the low end, middle school, high school, thick on AAU, 25 years. Then I had the best learning lesson of all, Sylvia, 9 years on the HBCU side of the house, right through. So I got a chance to learn exactly that. So, man, I love it. Thank you. Val, do you have any exiting comments for Sylvia at all?
Well, I am looking on Amazon right now, and I'm going to go ahead and order the book because I am real excited about that. I was literally just talking to a business coach today about the confidence you need to have in what you are gifted with, as well as it can help with your business. If you're realizing that there's some issues with your business, then you can definitely gain some confidence. And here's the thing. I love the color scheme of orange, so I'm drawn to the color of orange. So I don't know any particular reason why you chose the color orange for the Confidence Playbook, or was that just in what your assistants came up with?
I would have went baby blue and white on that orange. It kind of reminded me, I think she wanted to go to UT.
No, but I have a slam signature program. So because I won a slam dunk contest blindfolded, the SLAM acronym stands for self-confidence, which is where the book was birthed out of. Leadership, the L stands for leadership, the A stands for accountability, and the M stands for mindset. And I speak to athletic and corporate teams about those 4 topics, because I feel like if you're not good at those 4 things, it's hard to win. I don't care how talented you are. If you don't have good leadership, if you're not shooting the ball with confidence, if your players are not holding themselves and each other accountable for their actions, and if you don't have a winning mindset, it's hard to win. It is hard to win. And so that's what I do. And my brand colors are orange. So when I did the book, I just kept it consistent with the orange color. And so yeah, I just love sharing my story, because I want to end with this. Everything that we've gone through, everything that you've gone through, Tony, throughout your career, your coaching career, playing career, whatever that may be, good or bad, everything that you went through, it wasn't even about you. It was to share that story with somebody else who might not be as strong as you, to let them know you can do it. You could get to the other side of this, and you're going to survive. You're not just going to survive, you're going to thrive, and your best years are still yet to come. And so that's why I'm so passionate about this book. That's why I'm so passionate about speaking and spreading my message and teaching other coaches and athletes how to do the same.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And Val, I'll tell you, my big person I deal with all the time is a 7-year-old, my granddaughter. And she told her first day, you're going to be a superstar when you get older. So she goes to school, Sylvia, and they doing this business day. Teacher going around the room. She gets her, Skylar, what are you going to be when you get older? I'm going to be a superstar. And the lady says, well, who told you that? My pawpaw said that. And not only that, I sing. So she done sang some of this elaborate song in a little school. So the other day we rolling in the car, and I'm thinking about, you know, basketball stuff, Sylvia. She says, I said, we got to get together because we start getting this basketball this summer. We got to put some work in. She said, yeah, that's all right. But I think I want to go over there to the golf course. Didn't you tell me you're going to give me a set of clubs?
So you put her on a Jennifer Hudson's show.
Yeah, so I know I'm about to be this summer on the golf course. But let me tell you, it's been absolutely wonderful. It's been great just to have the building relationship. I told Val, I said, I've been on Sylvia for a minute. Come on my show. Please get on the show. And to have you launch the book, take time out of your busy schedule, things you're doing. I can't wait to just jump on that side to really dig into the book, because I got some things. I know Val gonna go crazy, but I keep telling everybody, Sylvia, I'm about to launch a book called My Man's in Them. I'm putting it together. And
that's not a real book, Sylvia. That's not a real book. I don't know why he keeps mentioning this. This is not a real book. It's coming. Let me stop this. It's not coming. He's been talking about this for 6 months. I'm waiting for this. My Man's in Them. It could be a movie, but it's not a real book right now.
We're
Write
gonna
it.
get it together. Hey,
Tell
after I finish reading this book, when Sylvia get it to me, please. I'm gonna have all the confidence. I already work out of a playbook as a coach, right, Sylvia? So I
Tony,
just gotta get more confidence on putting that book
got
together
some
for my mans in there.
I got some executors from Let Us Execute that can have that book up and running in no time. So see me after the show.
That's what's
Well,
happening. But
ahead.
listen, thank you so much. Hey, right here, speaking of up and running, this is my thing that I do, Sylvia, with my players. Got 4 kids signed to me right now. This is my sports marketing agency called The Rise, NIL, where I actually help out a lot of the college athletes, and I talk to brands, kind of merging the two together. It's been a hot topic. Still been in the NCAA, trying to figure out what's going on. In the meanwhile, these brands are looking to get these kids to promote their products, and these kids looking for brands to pay them. So I had a wonderful opportunity to merge the two together. It's been going great. We've had one of my big players, Sylvia, I got a 14-year-old, she's 15 now, 15-year-old tennis star who gets up at 5 a.m. in the morning. And Val don't even know this, but she was just accepted into the Serena Williams tennis school in Florida. And she told me she's turning pro at 17. So I'm loving life right now on it. So it's been absolutely wonderful. So if you want to check out more, get out to www.rizenil.com and take a look at more of that. And then your girl right there, Sylvia, Val, the voice, she got her own thing going. Val, tell them a little bit about how DJ saved your life.
Well, it's my part memoir and the ABCs of starting your own podcast. Of course, you can do that and get your copy by scanning the QR code, and then, of course, get in merch also for the Pull Up Podcast Show too. Go to Pure Lighthouse Media, and I'm so happy to say this, .com. .net is the store, but .com is the full story of both of us, me and Coach Tony. And of course, we're back tomorrow evening with the interlude section. Interlude section presents Talk on Tuesday. Everyone has been talking about what the Super Bowl performance of Kendrick Lamar, and of course, I don't know what happened to our Kansas City Chiefs. You had predicted that they were going to win, but Philly. It happened.
Hey,
so
I'm actually so mad, Val, because I've been thinking about getting me a Philadelphia hoagie. Since I can't get one in the South, I could have ordered me a hoagie. I'd have had the right pick. But here's a little side note, Sylvia. Here's what you're gonna love, and I'm trying to get him on the show. AJ Brown. So I spent 9 years, Sylvia, at Fisk University, HBCU here in Nashville, Tennessee, and AJ Brown's sister, Reva, big shout out, and a mother, tremendous, out of Mississippi. Reva played for me. And AJ used to be in the gym running around. And now he's a Super Bowl star. So absolutely phenomenal. I try to give out my, for promotional purposes only, didn't work. So I made it to the Super Bowl, but got beat in the Super Bowl game.
It's okay. Sylvia, thanks for joining us on tonight. But as you usually would say, Coach, to close us out.
Hey, listen, I appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight on What the Pull Up Podcast Show with your boy, the one and only Coach Tony, and my guest, Sylvia Crawley-Spahn. And of course, you already know my sidekick right there, that's Val, the voice Johnson. But you know my words. I'm out.
It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up, pull up. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. It's the Pull Up Podcast. Pull up.